Welcome everybody to the capacity and demand management video. So we'll speak about the capacity management and the demand management, the strategic role thereof. A capacity expansion strategy can be proactively used to create demand through supply. Let's say the examples are JetBlue, Dunkin' Donut, and so on and so forth. We can lock out competitors altogether, especially when the market is very small. For two competitors, example Walmart, get down the learning curve to reduce cost. Example Southwest Airlines, support fast delivery, fast flexibility. It's all about the Mandarin Oriental. A lack of short-term capacity can generate customers for competition, as in the restaurant staffing, capacity decisions for balance cost of lost sales if the capacity is inadequate against the operating losses if demand does not reach as per the expected expectations. Strategy of building ahead of the demand is often taken to avoid losing customer thereof. So what are we looking into it? We're talking about the challenges in capacity planning. Let's say, particularly in services, what happens? Inability to create steady flow of demand to fulfill all the utilized capacity that is there at your disposal. Enforce idle capacity if no customers are in the service system. Customers are participants in the service, and the level of congestion impacts the perceived quality per se. Customer arrival fluctuates and the service demands also fluctuates, also vary over a period of time. Depending on the high peak demand, the quality deteriorates. When there is no demand per se and there's no fuss about much of a customer, the quality is up to the brim. Capacity is typically measured in terms of bottleneck resources rather than outputs. Numbers of airplane seats available per day rather than the number of passengers that has been flown per day. So customer induced demands and service time variability. Customer arrivals are independent of decisions, not evenly spaced. Capability, the level of customer knowledge and skills and the service needs vary over a period of time. Request uneven service time result from unique demands, something which we all akin to. So efforts are to level the commitments of to co-production or self-service variation, wherein it becomes hand in hand in gloves for the customer and the company employees too. Subjective preferences. Personal preferences introduces unpredictability. Now we'll talk of modeling service delivery system or using queuing models. Customer population, the source of inputs to a service system, whether the input source is finite or infinite, whether the customers are patient or impatient. The service system, allow me to quote the number of lines, single service, multiple lines, multiple service, arrangement of service facilities, the server, the channel, the phases. We are talking about the arrival. We are talking about the service pattern. Example, for many service processes, inter-arrival and service time are exponentially distributed, absolutely distributed. So, so we are talking about arrivals and service rates. Points are distributed. Priority rules, queuing discipline, as in the statics, the first come first basis serve basis, FCFS discipline. The dynamic basis is individual customer characteristics. Example, EDD, earliest due time and shortest processing time. Priority, preemptive, status of the queue, number of customers waiting, and round robin the above. Now, what we are looking in the pic, if you see, this is multiple queue. These are my vendors, right? Or the employees who are manning the counters. People are queuing for single unit or single activity or multiple activity from the same unit or the same queue. Or we can have a number of queues. There can be, instead of so many queues numbers, can we have only a single queue? And from at this point of service, they go into different windows or different vendors or different employees. From here, it start distributing. Or we can have take a number you sit around. Probably there are no queues at all. There is a number that is flashed on your digital display. Probably as per it, the counter numbers should be present, and the customer walks out to that particular vendor or to that particular employee. So you depends upon the queuing arrangement of service facilities, the channel, the phases. We'll talk about the parking lot. It can be self-service. You can be talk about cafeteria. It can be servers in series, one at a time. We can have a toll booth, servers in parallel, in tandem with one another. Everybody is working all together. Supermarkets self-serve first stage and then parallel stuff. For first you make a purchase, pick up the things that you require, and then you stand in front of the cashiers, different cashiers, parallel servers, which is the second stage. Hospital, many centers which is running parallelly and in series, not to be used by all patients. Probably the nephrology patient will not go into cardiology department. The hematology patient will not be going into, let's say, urology department per se. So what are we looking into it? The queuing discipline. It can be FCFS or first come first serve rule, the static or the dynamic part. In case of it is a dynamic, it's a selection based on the status of the queue, as in number of customers waiting, as in the round robin thing, or selection based on the individual customer attributes. We are talking about priorities. We are talking about preemptive. We are talking about processing of the customers as on when on basis. Service system cost trade-off. That is what we will be trying to discuss. What is the total cost of service? If anybody will tell me, this is cost of hourly waiting. For hourly cost of waiting a customer, people might get fed up and leave their business with you altogether. So this you are losing your business. Then we have something called hourly cost per server, per employee. What is the hourly cost and the number of servers that we are looking into it? So total cost per hour is all hourly service cost plus the hourly waiting time from the customer cost. This is my total cost. So total cost per hour is CSC plus CWLS. CW in times LS, right? The total costs of service reflect both the firm capacity cost as well as the customer's cost of waiting. Service processes should be designed to minimize the sum of these two costs. And how can the economic cost of a customer be determined? Variability and arrivals, the service time contribute equally to congestion as measured by LQ. Even though the service will be ideal for a certain period of time, there will be customers lines, there will be waitings on average. These lines, or should I say waits, will be very getting longer and longer, or very quickly gets up to the capacity as the capacity you approaches 100%. Given the potential of the capacity quiz, as capacity utilization approaches 100%, service firms typically design their process with capacity cushion. That is the amount of capacity above the average expected demand. The greater the variability in arrival or the service rate, the larger the capacity cushion needed for a given service. You have a waiting area probably. To improve the system's performances, weight and the line length, a single queue versus multiple queue with multiple channels. More servers can be added, reduce capacity utilization, but at a higher operating cost. A fast single server is preferred to a multiple servers with the same overall service rate. Now, what are we looking into it? In a lifetime, the average person will spend approximately 6 months waiting at a stoplight. Look, what are you talking about? 6 months waiting at a traffic light, if I may say so. 8 months opening junk mail only in your email inbox, junk mail lifetime. 6 plus 8 months, you have already crossed 1 year of wastage, pure wastage. 1 year looking for misplaced objective, things found misplaced. Your mobile, your car keys, your house keys, your documents, you name it, and we have it. There are approximately 2 years that one person will be opening and reading their email. Approximately 4 years doing all household work, be it cleaning, fending, cooking, um, plumbing, whatever you are talking about it, everything related to your housework. 5 years just waiting in the line. Look at the times around it. And we end up eating for 6 years throughout our lifespan. So this is what the managing of waiting time is all about it, and how do we go across with it. The psychology of waiting, people dislike empty time. Fill this time with a positive way, give them a quiz, give them occupy their time. Service related diversions convey a sense that the server has stated, handing out menus, let them browse the menus. Waiting can induce anxiety in some customers, reduce anxiety by providing information to the customer, as in what is the maximum waited expected time to wait around it. How do you go across with it? Customer wants to be treated fairly while waiting. First come, first serve is what we are going up. Discipline, a logical prioritization thereby. Managing the waiting time or meeting experience, conceal the queue from the customers. If the customer doesn't see much of a queue, probably the frustration level drops. Engaging the customer in co-production unit or task during the wait. Provide diversions during the wait. Serve priority customers to the or customers who are willing to plan much ahead and faster. Automate standard services to enable self-services. Manage waiting time perception. Under promise and probably over deliver. Managing demand and capacity to reduce lines and waiting time. Now, how do we manage demand? One way to manage demand is to develop a complementary services, probably keeping the people engaged, or reservation system or booking, taking advanced reservations, advanced booking, then probably segmenting the demand, offering price incentives, and promoting off-peak demand. Probably that's one way to manage demand. How do you manage capacity? Let's say sharing capacity has to be introduced. Cross-training employees, using part-time employees, new recruits or temporary employees per se, increasing the customer participation in the process of production of the things or in the service, scheduling work shifts and creating adjustable capacity. What are we both trying to do with managing demand and capacity? Basically, we are looking at yield management, optimizing our outputs, managing demand, segmenting demand, random versus scheduled arrival, offering price incentives, lower matinee pricing at movie theaters, perhaps than that of evening timings or the weekend timings. Promoting off-peak demands, using of resort hotel during off-season for business or professional groups. Developing complementary services as the case might be. Reservation system and overbooking, trade-off between opportunity cost and unused capacity, cost of not honoring or overbooked reservation. How do we manage capacity per se? What are we talking about? We are talking about participations of the customers in the service or in the production. That is e-commerce probably, wherein the customers are doing every cataloging, searching, and probably trying it out on the email, on the digital platform before ordering. Scheduling work shift based on the historical demand pattern and desired service level. Creating adjustable capacity. Tesco online grocery shops using part-time employees or temp employees, let's say during tax season. Cross-training employees to increase workflow, workforce flexibility and leverage capacity to provide additional value-added services. Sharing capacity or gate sharing arrangement as the case might be. And this is what we should all try to be. The flow management, where we are looking into it and how do we go around. There are three stages process. You know what is it? The average service rate is, let's say, 40 per hour, 20 per hour, or 40 per hour from the customers to the customer. Highly variable arrival time. The average rate remain 20 per hour. The flow management focuses on relieving bottleneck so that the customers can move more smoothly and quickly through service process. How can the flow of this service process be improved? Resource side or demand side? How do we go ahead with it? The flow utilizations and the flow management, do we maximize it? Let's say we are having the same paradigm. Compare and contrast the process performances. With the maximum utilizations vis-a-vis flow management, how does the flow management usually improves capacity utilization? But maximum utilization often result in poor flow. Definitely, that is what we need to understand. So we come to yield management. Yield management attempts to dynamically allocate fixed capacity to match the potential demand of the various market segment so as to maximize the revenue, maximize the profit. Although airlines were the first to develop yield management, other capacity constrained service industry, let's say hotel or car rental or cruise, also use yield management. Possible ethical issue associated with yield management, there are plenty full of it. You book and you don't get a chance. Why? Because things were overbooked. You booked, you miss the chance by a little fraction of a time. Again, you have already paid it, you have already anticipated it. So that's something, there are ethical issues to it. So ideal characteristics for yield management is relatively fixed capacity, ability to segment market, discount allocation, perishable inventory, potential to spoilage, product sold in advance, fluctuating demand, low marginal fulfillment cost, and high marginal capacity cost as the case might be. So these are the ideal characteristics of yield management that you need to need to understand. Product needs to be sold in advance. Fluctuating demand, you should be able to match them. Low marginal fulfillment of cost and probably high marginal capacity charge that needs to be understood. With this, I come to an end of this video. Thank you for watching the same.